And where were the progressives then? Where were people in pink hats in vast numbers marching on Washington? Nowhere. Why is it one law and one rule for one and one rule for the other? It should be the same. And what you see with these progressives, as with many Trump supporters, they don't understand how the world works and how the processes of manipulation work. You have a man, for instance, in George Soros, the billionaire, who funds progressive organizations. Why would George Soros fund progressive organizations? Because if you want to control the game, you have to control both sides in the game. You control one side, you influence the game. You control both sides, you control the game. And his role is controlling the progressives side of this polarity. And so you have all those people in their pink hats going on those marches against Trump. And 50 of those so-called partners in that operation were connected to George Soros. The same George Soros whose organizations were behind the manipulation of the so-called Arab Spring that led to the excuse to send the boys in to places like Libya and Syria. So if we're going to stop this divide and rule, if we're going to stop these polarities being played off against each other, while those in the shadows laugh, people need to get informed and streetwise about what's actually going on and how it works. You see, I'm hearing this week that Trump has imposed a Muslim ban. No, he's not. He's imposed an immigration ban on a list of countries, most of which have been targets of the United States and were listed by an organization called Project for the New American Century in September 2000, which came to power with the Bush administration, were listed for regime change. So where, if it's a Muslim ban, is the ban on anyone from Saudi Arabia and Qatar that have been exposed for funding terrorists, funding ISIS? Where's the ban on them? You've got to see the shades of grey and not black and white. It's not about a ban on Muslims. It's about targeting Muslims that suit the agenda and leaving Muslims alone, like the Saudis in their grotesqueness, the Saudi royal family, leaving them alone to go on funding terrorism. Why? Because if you have terrorism, you have a problem. You have chaos to which you can offer your order out of chaos. And we have the mainstream media in America, of course, cheering on and winding up the anti-Trump protests. But where were they when Obama was bombing the innocent in Libya and Syria? Where were the progressives when that was going on? Nowhere. Where were they when Obama was dramatically slowing down immigration by people from Iraq during his period in office? Where were they? Where are the celebrities standing at microphones? Oh, look, I'm ever so kind, I am, I care. Where were they when Obama was also peddling his mayhem and his injustice? Nowhere. And you know, most celebrities, the vast majority, they care about image. Anyone think that standing up against Trump is not just another part of that image creation? Oh, look, she's great, he's great, they're anti-Trump. What a mess. What a mess it all is. And just when we need some streetwiseness and some calmness to meet the challenge that is Donald Trump, we're getting posturing and being played like a stringed instrument to march and protest when people are told the agenda wants civil war and conflict between peoples in the United States and Europe. If people do not want what the conspiracy wants in the shadows, then we need to stop fighting among ourselves. Doesn't mean we don't en masse cease to cooperate with our own enslavement and things that we find morally reprehensible. Violence and marching for marching's sake is going to take us nowhere. If people want to challenge what's happening, then stop cooperating with it. Stop obeying the laws that you find grotesque, unjust, and unacceptable, instead of just putting a pink hat on and marching over to the White House. Oh yeah, oh look, CNN's there, they're all taking pictures, and now we're going home. Yeah, and what's changed? Nothing. And there are challenges with Trump, big time. And, you know, I wish the Trump supporting alternative media would get its head in gear and start seeing the shades of grey, instead of becoming no more than a promotional operation for Donald Trump. Oh, Donald, everything you do is great. No, it's not. He's given control of the American economy to Goldman Sachs. He said he would prosecute Hillary Clinton. Of course, that's the person the progressives wanted, Hillary Clinton. One of the most corrupt politicians in American history, with her husband. They come as a pair. And think of the competition for being the most corrupt politician in American history. Oh, he was going to prosecute her for corruption. First thing he did when he won, just say he wasn't going to do that because they're good people. No, they're not. And that's another part of this progressive lunacy, that they were all so upset when one of the most corrupt politicians in American history didn't win. What they should be looking at is not this person or that person. That's the divide and rule polarity illusion. What we should be looking at is how a system supposedly representing the people is so rigged that it gives you the choice between Clinton and Trump for someone that can sign into law with a single signature. We have Trump handing the Pentagon, the National Security Advisor role, and Homeland Security, here we go, to military people. We have Mad Dog Mattis as Defense Secretary in the Pentagon, and this guy, Michael Flynn, National Security Advisor, who are vehemently anti-Iran, who work in an alliance currently with Russia and China. And so things with Iran are kicking off. You know, when you've got someone as narcissistic as Donald Trump, who can't even leave criticism on Twitter without having to respond, the ego is so hurt. When you've got that kind of mentality in control of the American military, and in a situation where signing his signature changes the law, you are indeed in a potentially very dangerous situation. And so it's not protest and violence and fires and smashing up that we need to respond to this. We need calmness. We need people to see that actually it's not black and white, there are shades of grey. And that Trump, in his own way, is just as much a tool of the swamp as all his predecessors. And we need to come together. Stop hurling insults at each other in terms of you're racist, you're this, you're that, if you disagree with them. And in unity, cease to cooperate with that we find deeply offensive and deeply unacceptable. But also to have the decency to realize and accept that everyone has the right to an opinion, not just those we agree with. And what I find equally disturbing in this polarity war to the potential dangers of a Trump administration is the way the heart on the sleeve progressives who are opposing him, saying it's fascism, have become, not just in America, but around the world, the new authority, the new censors, the new big brother, dictating what opinions people can have, what views they can have, who they can support and who they can't without having abuse hurled and labels hurled in their direction. Like I said at the start, we need to understand that for divide and rule to happen, you need at least two sides, two polarities you can play off against each other. And you know what you find with those polarities? That despite what these say they stand for and what they say they stand for, and all the rhetoric and the slogans, when you look at them closely, they're always mirrors of each other.